Welcome, Lisa.
Thank you.
So you've got, like we talked about you being a transformational coach and, NLP, and you're doing the Why Institute stuff now, Why Coach, for helping people find their why, which I think is such an important thing. We'll get into that soon, but you've got 20 years experience, over 20 years experience doing this kind of work, pulling out the amazing stuff out of people and unlocking them. What led you to that?
It was about 20 years ago, and I had a bit of a breakdown. I was suicidal over some things that were happening in my life. I was going to therapy sometimes 2 and 3 times a week, and nothing was helping me. I just couldn't get any relief, and I just was in agony. And someone had recommended a hypnotist. I was like, I'd never been to a hypnotist. I didn't know anything about it. And I went to see her, and I started feeling better. And I thought she was so amazing. I wanted to be her. So I trained in everything that she did. So I became a hypnotist. I got my master practitioner license in NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, all different really cool things that I started studying. And then I realized I can't be her. I have to figure out who I am. And a whole bunch of really amazing stories that happened that led me to start studying with indigenous tribes and working and studying shamanism in different places around the world. And that was amazing. I studied energy medicine. And then I got into the why.
Wow.
And so it's been an amazing journey, but I realized that for 20 years I was seeking me now. I wish I could have found myself 20 years ago. So I studied all the things that I wish that I could have had for me.
What happened that caused you to be in such a bad state in the first place?
Yeah, I had some abuse from childhood, and the memories started coming up, and I didn't know what to do with it all. And it was impacting me in a really bad way. And I was struggling, and I didn't have any help. I lost family members over it. I lost everyone pretty much in my life, and I was very alone, and I had nowhere to go. I had nowhere to go. I didn't know what to do with the memories. I didn't know what to do with it. And I thought, is this real, or am I making it up? What do I do with this? And so doing the work and studying, because what happened was I had no sense of self. I had no idea who I was. I always had this attitude, if everyone else was happy, I could be happy. And as a child, I got into Rhode Island School of Design and in a summer program. And my parents came to pick me up, and I'd cut my own hair and was wearing like yard sale clothing. And they're like, you're not going to art school. They were afraid I was going to be a poor starving artist and become weird. So they said no. And I just always acquiesced. I always just gave my power away. And then I found myself in a marriage that was perfect at the time. I have 2 beautiful children. I'm very grateful for that, but it got to a point where I knew it wasn't working, and we were both unhappy. And that was a struggle because that was all I knew. And I was scared. And again, not having a sense of self, knowing who I am, knowing what I wanted to do with my life. I was always envious of people who had that passion and just knew. Even my ex-husband, like when he first graduated college, we met young, and all he talked about was work. He just loved it. And I loved listening to him. I always loved listening to people who are really passionate about what they did. And I was like, well, I love being a mom. And that was fine, but there was this emptiness inside. I didn't know what else I was here for and what else I had to contribute to the world. What would I have to offer?
And it's kind of like, I don't know what matters to me. And it's and you also mentioned about you look around and everyone else is happy, and yet that's a facade too. It's kind of like, well, what's wrong with me? Why can't I be happy?
I can't tell you how many people told me, we thought you had the perfect marriage. We thought you had the perfect life. Yeah. So people look at you from the outside and see something that's completely different than what's going on in the inside.
Yeah. And I think that's so true for most people. We because we're not all running around going, oh, my life's miserable. We're not, well, some are, but most of us are not, are doing our best to kind of keep that in. And it's, I don't think anybody's life's perfect, and the sooner we
No.
can realize that and say, well, we're all in the same boat and we're all just battling. Everyone's doing their best, and we're just trying to make the best of the life we live. And unfortunately, it takes us until we're in our usually late 40s, 50s until we start to come to terms with that and start to accept it. But
yes, I remember when I was studying and we had this meditation that we had to do, and they asked us to find this part of ourselves that we didn't like. And so I remember doing this meditation and I saw this like grim reaper and I saw this like oozing, disgusting thing. And I kept saying to myself, I'm not that. I'm not that. That's not me. And then something inside of me said, just own it. Just honor it. Doesn't mean you act on it. Just own it. And I touched it and I said, thank you. And it became this angel. It was like this ethereal thing that suddenly flew away. And I realized that you can't know this unless you know this.
Yep.
And both are part of you.
Yep.
So unless you know the darkness and honor the darkness in you and the light,
Yep.
then you can be whole. Because some of the biggest work I do is people, when you suppress those parts of you or the traumas or any of the beliefs, when you suppress it, it has to go somewhere. And so it comes out, it manifests physically. People often will manifest in physical issues because they haven't dealt it, because they're like, I don't want to feel the pain. I'm like, you're living it. Yeah. So once we own that in ourselves, then we can feel whole. Yeah. Because this is the thing, it made me realize that it was my gift. Because not that I'm going to act on that part of me that I denied, but I know it. So I recognize it. So I recognize it in others, and it made me a better healer. It made me a better person, because I see people are like, how do you know that? How do you possibly know that about me? It's like, because you're a mirror of me.
And it's when you talk about, manifesting into other physical issues, but sometimes, sometimes it can be like we know it's there. We know there's something and we're just deliberately suppressing it. And other times we don't know it's there, and it's still manifesting in behaviors or in patterns or in beliefs or, in all sorts of things that are going on around our environment. And often we don't know they're there. Now, one of these things is, well, for me, on my story with you and how I met you, and I think you're a brilliant healer. Like
thank you.
No, I've said that to you. You just got this. You've got this knack of exactly what you said, of just understanding and just feeling. And I don't know what you do. It's magic. But anyway, you did some work on me, but it was about money, and I mean, we've all got these goddamn money blocks, and I just couldn't seem to get past it. But I was doing everything on the surface. I was doing everything that I thought I should be doing or could be doing, and I didn't know. So this is the difference: is do we seek help? Like a lot of us are kind of like, well, I'm just still doing everything I can, and there's nothing I can do. But recognizing I'm stuck, I can't get it, and then seeking help. And I'm going to talk more on this, but you want to say something, I can see it.
Yeah, no, because the problem is that we are programmed. We are programmed from the time we are in the womb.
Yep.
And so the most fascinating thing is we go through our lifetime with behaviors we don't even know are ours. Yep. We have entire belief systems that aren't ours.
Yep.
We take on our mothers, our fathers, we take on everyone else's, our teachers, our friends, because we want to fit in. And oftentimes there's a confusion there. We don't know what our beliefs are. Epigenetics. Yes.
I did write it down, but I don't have it in front of me. Epigenetics. So where things are passed down through generations, and we don't even know it's there, and yet it's sitting there absolutely undoing us. Tell us about
this was so fascinating to me, because when I talk about studying with the indigenous people, that's a lot of the work that they do, is they work with ancestors. And then when I just discovered epigenetics, it's the science behind what these people do. Wow. And it's so fascinating. So what they've actually found is up to 7 generations back, if you have an ancestor who experienced a trauma or a belief system, that can carry on to you, and you can be acting that out unconsciously. You have no idea why you have that.
Wow.
There are incredible amount of studies. So we can carry, like when someone has this fear of heights and they're like, I don't have a reason for this fear of heights or whatever, it can be something that's been passed down to you.
Through working with you, I came to understand that all my blockages and my beliefs about my value have come from an issue that mum had caused by her mother. And it's there's no way that you could get to that yourself. There is just no way that you could rationalize that with a sane head. You just can't come to that kind of information. So I think this work is absolutely exceptional. And I don't know what you did, because I don't think you did anything. You just sort of just sat there. But you did a few things, but it changed.
Well, here's the thing. I believe that everyone has the answers within themselves. They just have to find it, right? So all I'm doing is tapping into your subconscious mind and asking your subconscious mind to go to the root cause. Boom. There you go. I didn't find it. You found it.
But one of the things that I believe in strongly, and you believe in strongly, is our why. When people are kickstarting projects and stuff like that, it's about, for me, the why is their North Star. The why is their motivator. Tell us why you became super excited about why.
So when I talked about earlier how I had no sense of self, as a child, I was always different. I never felt like I fit in. I got bullied a lot. And I didn't understand the power in that, and that because I was different, that I like to be different, I didn't understand that that was my gift. I always thought of it as something that, oh, Lisa's the weird one, or Lisa's, doesn't fit in, or Lisa's this or that. And so I always struggled with that, because when you're the black sheep of your family and you don't fit in, it makes you feel less than. It makes you feel like there's something wrong with you. You're broken. When I did my why is someone who likes to challenge conventional thinking. So it's challenge people who think differently. And I was like, of course, that's my gift. And what's so beautiful about it is it's not just your work. Your why impacts everything you do. Because I'm different, I live in a log cabin in the middle of Vermont, in the middle of nowhere, and I love it. It's where I vacation. It's how I vacation. It's the type of car I drive. Everything that I do it from a place of wanting to be unique and different. I don't want to be like anyone else. And so when I discovered that about myself, I got to a place where I was like, I honored that. Instead of having shame around it, I honored it. And that was a huge light bulb in me that I could see. I became aligned. I was like, okay, because every decision that I make now, is it different? Is it unique? Is it something different for me? And so that's a driver for me in all aspects of my life.
I think it's fantastic. And so you're doing this with the Y Institute,
Right.
It's just it just sort of takes a whole new perspective of it. Like I did it with you the other day, and it was my why is contribution. And oh wow, surprise, there's nothing at all that surprised me about that.
When you discovered that trust was a huge part of what you do, and then you realize that if you can't trust someone, you're not working with them. And when you know that about yourself, you can arm yourself with this. And when you talk to other people, you can say, you know what? Trust is really important to me. And so if you do something that, makes me believe that I can't trust you, you're out. So you can almost put them on notice and let them know that trust is really critical for you, because it's more important to you. Other people will give second and third chances. With you, you might, but for the most part, no. Because once you see something in someone that they don't share the same values as you, then it's really hard.
Yeah.
Integrity is everything for you. We talked about that. And if someone is out of integrity, you don't trust them, and then you're not going to interview them. You don't want them in your life, and you won't even have them in your events.
Yep. And that's so true. That's so true. I got a real big issue with that. And I don't, and I thought it was an issue, but now I don't think it's an issue. Now I think, no, damn it, that's who I am. And now I feel actually quite good about, drawing that line in the sand, and rather than me, sometimes I feel like, I have felt, until I had this conversation with you, a couple of weeks ago, I felt I was kind of like, well, I think I'm intolerant. I think I've got this sort of, maybe I'm too hard on people and too intolerant. But once I did that, this process with you, it was kind of like, yeah, actually, I like that. I like the fact that trust is such an important thing to me, that if you break it, and it is true, because if people break it, I give them a couple of chances, I have to admit, because I just think benefit of the doubt, you could be having a bad day. Everyone needs to grow and learn, but there's a point in me where I just snap and that's it. You're out, and you never get back in. You'll never come back.
So how did that feel when you finally had that, when you owned it?
Fantastic.
Exactly. It's the owning it. I have a client who's in France, and he is a consultant to engineers, and his why is simplify. So he has the ability to take, like, if you have a recipe that's 10 steps, he could do it in 8. He can take a 5-page email and bring it down to 4 bullet points. That's his gift.
Wow.
But here was the funny part. He couldn't justify charging, the hours, because he could take all that information and boom, give it back. Once he understood that was his superpower and other people couldn't do that, he was like, oh, I get it. This is the gift I bring. I said, yes, because you're taking complex information from an engineer, and now you're bringing it to a layman. Now they can understand it, and they get it. And now he helps people who are entrepreneurs, pitch and he'll help them put their pitch deck together. And he's like, simple, make it simple and easy to understand.
Yeah.
And he doesn't understand why people don't get that, because he can't handle chaos. Yeah. And so he thought there was something wrong with him. And now he's tripled his fees, because he honors and understands what his value is.
Yeah.
So as we talked about that, there's 9 whys. And what happened was, if you're familiar with Simon Sinek's work, he did a TED talk about the importance of knowing your why. And Gary Sanchez went to Simon and said, this is amazing. How do you find your why? I need to know this. And Simon said, I don't know. It's important, but you have to figure that out yourself. So Gary went on for 10 years interviewing thousands of people and discovered that there's 9 whys. And he also discovered we have a why, a how, and a what. So that's what you were talking about with your trust, challenge, and contribute. Yeah. And order is important. So mine is challenge. I challenge conventional thinking. How I do that is I'm always looking for a better way. So better way. And then what I bring is the ability to make sense out of complicated situations and problems. Now, when you have a business, you want to look at your avatar, the person who you want to work with, and what their why is. And then you make your why around that. Because the part of your body, the limbic system, the part of your brain that makes decisions, is the feeling part. We all think it's the analytical, but it's the feeling part. So when you talk about your why, it's compelling. If you talk about how you do something or what you do, people are like, well, there's 20 other people or 50 other people who do the same thing. Why should I come to you? What is it that makes your story so different? And your truth is different than my truth, which is not different than my partner's truth. We just want to be in alignment with who we are. And that's what the why helps. And that's what, when you pull out all the debris, all of the belief systems, it's really interesting, depending upon what part of the country you live in, what, your culture, your religion, there's so many things that impact your teachers. I work with golfers, and I had a golfer who at 20 years old, he was at the top of his game. He was unbelievable at putting. And he had a bad day, and someone walked up to him and said, gee, it's really too bad you don't know how to putt. Otherwise, you'd be a phenomenal golf pro. He couldn't putt after that. He took that in and believed it, and it messed up his game for 20 years. I sat with him for an hour and a half. We released the belief that he couldn't putt, and he went out and played 9 holes. He called me, he goes, best game I played in years. I get a lot of fear of success, fear of failure, anything that was a belief system from a family member or something that happened in their childhood, a trauma that just keeps repeating. It's that hamster wheel. When you start doing the same thing over and over again, expecting the different result. And what's interesting is if we keep behaving the same way and keep attracting the same people, then we go, aha, see, it's true. I told you so. So we keep confirming it over and over again, because if you see you see the world through the eyes of lack of trust, and you believe that people are untrustworthy, then your mind is going to seek out people, and you're going to start attracting people you can't trust. So you got to confirm, oh, no one, that person's not trustworthy. That person isn't trustworthy. I can't trust people. When you release that and you heal that, you don't see that anymore. And then you go to the second biggest issue that's bothering you.
And so on and so on.
And those are the techniques that I use, along with the hypnosis, along with a number of other techniques. But I have this one that's kind of magical, because your peripheral vision, there's something that you do with your fingers, and you use them, and you go out and you wait until you get till you're just at the edge of your peripheral vision, and you do a lazy eye and take a deep breath, and you automatically, it just relaxes you. And you get to a point where you don't have to use your fingers anymore. You just kind of go into that, it's the alpha state.
Yeah.
And it's a place where you retain more information. So you do that before you have to study for a test, or you're about to take the test, because you're retrieving it from the same place.
Yeah.
So there's all kinds of mind hacks and really cool, fun stuff that I teach people that they can use. I use it for golfers too.
You taught me that last week or the week before, and I've been using that, and it's been fantastic. I've written a whole new program since using that.
Oh, I'm so glad.
What's nice about you is you don't present with that authoritarian sort of stance, and you don't come with any judgment. And you're just a beautiful human that throws your heart into. No, I really mean this, and I'm not just saying this because you're on my podcast and you're selling you and stuff. I wouldn't say it. I wouldn't say it if I did.
I know you wouldn't say it. you would tell people she's shitty. Don't go see her.
No, I wouldn't. No, I never do that. I just don't speak.
No, you wouldn't have me on your podcast.
No. Well, I never slag people. If I've got something bad to say, I'd rather not talk. But honestly, like you just have this beautiful energy about you, and it makes you feel safe. And I think that's a credit to you. When you're talking about gifts, that is your gift. Like, I know you've got other gifts in there, but the gift that you bring just to make people feel comfortable and safe and accepted and not judged is huge. And before you're talking, my pleasure. Before you're talking about, people, that guy who simplifies things, and I think, it's taken me many years to realize that one of my strongest gifts, and it comes around that trust thing again, is to automatically make people feel safe in an environment, and to make them feel like, oh, it's just a chat, just a chat on the couch. This is, and they're valuable. These kind of skills, these kind of things that we bring naturally to a space, they're valuable, and yet we take them for granted. And we've all got them. We've all got different little gifts that we bring, and yet we're too busy looking at other people saying, oh, but she's really good at this, and he's really good at that, and I'm just me, and
well, that's it. Because it's important for people to understand that every single person is here with a gift.
Yep.
Everyone has an individual thumbprint. Everyone has a gift. It's about discovering it. And what's really interesting and it's hard is that if you've carried a belief system that's not yours of trauma of an ancestor, so you have no idea about this, or even in utero, trauma happened to your mother while she was carrying you, or something, she was worried about something, or I can't handle this baby right now. The baby comes out feeling unwanted. And so they have this belief that they're unwanted, even though no one ever said that to them.
Yeah.
It's the feelings, and those are the things that carry us through our lives, and we don't know why. I'd like to give permission for people to be themselves. And when I discovered my why, how, and what, I felt like a tree trunk. And Maya Angelou talks about in her poem, it's like, I am a tree by the river, I shall not be moved. And that's what I feel like now when I'm aligned with who I am. And now someone can't tell me who I should be, because I know, I don't doubt anymore. And that's been the power of the work that I do.
If people want to come to you to do this whole why exploration, which is just fantastic, or hypnotherapy, or NLP, it doesn't matter what you go to Lisa for, because you're on a bloody winner. I can tell you that.
Oh, you're so awesome.
You're just amazing.
Well, you know what? I used to, before COVID, I used to do majority of my work in my office, and now it's 95% online.
Yeah.
I do a free consultation. The Why test is a 5-minute test that I email. It comes from the Why Institute. And then I go through a process. It takes an hour per se. It depends on the person. But we go through a whole process of discovering we have your why, and then it's a process of elimination of finding out what your how and your what are. And then from there, you better understand, like you were talking about, contribute, people who give and give and give and have trouble saying no. So then I can work with people. Now we can really narrow down and zero in on some of the issues that people have. It's really awesome in that way as well. And so you can do it. And I told you that I was going to offer a special for the people who are watching this.
Yeah.
So normally it's $250 US, and for your listeners, it'll be $150.
Oh, 150.
Yeah, they'll give you a nice discount. Yay!
Oh, you're amazing. I tell you,
I have to pay for the test.
Yeah.
I do it for free. No.
I get it. It's but that's amazing, and it's so worth it, because it's not just why it's like working with you, and that's the special bit, and working out all these ways you can do it and implement it into your life, and how you can start to get yourself like having this tree trunk feeling, like you're saying, and understand yourself better, and it sort of gives you permission to have guidelines, rather than feeling guilty about guidelines. You got permission to say, no, these are my guidelines, and I feel great about this. And
Exactly. You can find me on it's Peak Performance Mindset Coaching. I have 2 websites. You can also find me through Lisa Schermerhorn Coaching. But it's Peak Performance Mindset Coaching is my business that I have with my partner, Kevin Martin, who's also amazing. And we do workshops, we do group coaching, as well as the individual VIP coaching.
Yeah.
And it's wonderful. I just love it.
To do the if they want to do the why test, they just email you at lisa@peakperformancemindsetcoaching.com, and then they can kick it off from there.
And just mention that they saw the podcast, and I'll give them the discount.
You're a gem. You're amazing. And I will 100% put my money where my mouth is with Lisa, because she's changed my life. And I don't say that lightly. I bloody do not say that lightly. I can now charge money. I feel like I'm solid. And that doesn't mean my life's perfect, because we all have our ups and downs, and we all bloody keep crashing and burning all the time, but just moving that one big log out of my way has made a massive difference to me. So you come with my full recommendation, I tell you. Absolutely.
Wow. Can I just carry you around with me? Just take a little recording.
People say that I'm the best advertisement they could ever get.
You are the best advertisement.
I'm just such a champion for people doing the right thing, and I reckon I'm the world's biggest cheerleader for people doing good, and it needs to be said. And this is a problem. We often don't do that. We often don't we're terrible at talking about ourselves, and we're also terrible at championing other people. And I think we need to get better at that. And
We need to, and I'm a big proponent of collaborating and being of service to others and lifting other people up.
yeah,
And you do that so well. That's that's who you are.
thank you. They are.
That's who you are.
Thank you.
Yeah, the Mutual Admiration Society. No,
That's
it's the contributor in you. Yay!
I love it. I love it, guys. You're gonna love Lisa if you connect with her, mind you. You're gonna love this. But anyway, honestly, thank you so much for joining us. I truly
Thank you.
appreciate you, appreciate your time, appreciate your very generous offer to my listeners, and you're just one hell of a human. I just wish there were more of you in the world. You're just amazing. I truly mean that.
Wow. Wow. I'm just going to float out of here.
This is recorded, so you can just play it back anytime you want.
I'll just play it back. See? This was an honor and a pleasure. And, look forward. Maybe we can do some collaboration sometime and do some stuff to help more people.
Yeah, that would be fantastic.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you. See ya.